Well, he says he's suffered death threats and been accused of insulting Japan's royal family, but finally the author of a book about the country's crown princess has managed to get it into the bookshelves in Tokyo. Ben Hills is the author of the book, Princess Masako, the prisoner of the chrysanthemum throne. He's described it as, quote, an oriental Charles and Diana story. However, the book's insights have been well received by many in Japan, including the imperial household. Ben Hills joins me now from Sydney. Now, I want to talk about the reaction, Ben, to your book. But first of all, what are you saying about the Crown Princess of Japan in this book that isn't or wasn't previously already known?
Well, I mean, the Japanese government has denounced the book and said that it's insulting of the royal family, but that's not the case. What they're trying to suppress are two things. First of all, the way in which she's been bullied by the bureaucracy that is supposed to be looking after her, to the extent that she's now suffered for a serious mental breakdown. And the second thing that they don't want people to know is the fact that she had an IVF child. Now, why this should be such a sensitive issue in Japan, I really don't know. But those are the two main themes of the book that the government's really objecting to.
What do you mean when you say bullied?
She is supposed to be the dutiful little consort. She's not supposed to go anywhere or do anything or say anything that's not controlled by the bureaucrats. They want her to be a humble, obedient little person trotting along 2 paces behind her husband. In fact, she's an extremely brilliant woman. She speaks 6 languages. She's a graduate of 3 of the world's great universities, and she could be contributing an enormous amount to Japan's international image, if only they would allow her to. But the bureaucracy is just so fossilised in the past that they're keeping her a virtual prisoner, and that's the cause of her serious mental problems.
How serious are these mental problems? What were you able to determine about her psychological state?
Look, the Japanese government says that it's an adjustment disorder, a mild kind of mental illness, but in fact she's been suffering from this for 3 years now. So it's quite obviously something more serious. Now, I've talked to some eminent psychiatrists, both here in Australia and in the United States and in Japan, and their unanimous opinion is that she has serious depression. And unless something is done to improve her condition and allow her to have more of a proper role in the world, then her condition is not going to improve, unfortunately.
Now, you have had this published in English for a year or so. It is just now getting published in Japan. What has been the reaction, the level of fury and anger at the thought that this book will now go to the Japanese heartland?
Look, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate this, but I'm starting to feel a little bit like Salman Rushdie must have done. I mean, the Japanese government has effectively declared a fatwa on my book. My publisher's been defamed, and he's been attacked by the right-wing ultra-nationalists who are picketing his offices. Newspapers are refusing to carry advertisements for the book. And now my publisher and I are both receiving these threats. Now, you know, it's an absolutely appalling state of affairs, it really is. It's a blatant attempt, in our view, by the Japanese government to suppress the book. It's an attack on freedom of speech.
Now, the Crown Prince Naruhito says he hasn't read this book, but he is aware of it. Presumably his wife is aware of it as well. Do you think she would be appalled by what you've done?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, first of all, they wouldn't allow her to read the book. But secondly, the book is extremely supportive of Crown Princess Masako. I mean, I think she could be one of the great Japanese ambassadors if only they would allow her to carve some sort of a meaningful role out, something commensurate with her abilities. I mean, she was a diplomat before she agreed to marry the Crown Prince. She's an extremely, as I said before, extremely brilliant woman. And it's an absolute tragedy that she's locked up there behind the palace walls, denied any real meaningful role in life. An absolute tragedy.
Well, we'll certainly see what the reaction is as the book goes on sale in Japan. Ben Hills, the author of the book on Crown Princess Masako, thanks very much for joining us from Sydney.
Oh, so much curiosity out there about the life of Princess Masako and so much controversy generated by this book.
Trying to open that door to the chrysanthemum throne.